Oh, oh no! No! Britonia battleship, what you do? Oh, oh, oh. Oh, Oh, the inhumanity! Well, I'm not cleaning that up. Hey everyone, welcome back to part 2 of our Discover Freelancer guide, Let's Play Baby Steps for 2017 Discover Freelancer. It's part 2, as I just said, and it's time for us to continue on with our little story of Dave Cyprus. Right, in the previous episode we actually covered a fair amount of stuff, including we also upgraded our ship, and, well, I touched upon a couple of subjects, topics, rather, and we did a couple of missions, or rather, one mission, and we got some Dosh. And Dosh is going to be the center topic for this video. I'm going to be talking about how to make Dosh apart from missions, and also why are you doing this in the first place. As usual, we get this little message from Battleship Gettysburg, stating that, hey guy, if you bring us pilots, I'm going to give you stuff. But this time we're not going to do this. No. This time we're going to head right back, right behind Planet Erie, and I'm going to be talking about mining. So, the cool thing about mining is, similar to missions, you don't need any upfront capital for this. So, trading is a little bit more tricky. You actually need to have money in order to acquire goods. So, if you lose those goods, say to a pirate, or by accidentally flying into a planet or something similar, you are going to actually end up in a net minus. Now, when it comes to mining, however, things are a little bit different. You are getting stuff for free, and the only thing you lose, if you lose the cargo, is just the time you spend. So, your first introduction to mining is going to be here in the Pennsylvania helium field, otherwise known as the Ralston ice field. There are two types of mineable commodities. One are the so-called simple commodities. In this case, this is going to be helium. And then there are ores, which actually will need you to have a specialized mining ship and specialized equipment to actually mine it. In the vanilla Freelancer experience, all you had to do was shoot these little rocks, and then stuff would pop out. Now, that is very cool and all, and that is very similar how mining in Discover Freelancer mod works, but in order to make mining, and especially when it comes to large mining operations with many people, less taxing on the server itself, when you shoot these little rocks, you will get the ore straight inside of your cargo space. So let's just jettison this cargo and this ore that I actually mine up. And I'm going to open up our cargo hold again, and we're just going to shoot one of these tiny little rocks. Boom. 5 helium. 8 helium. No, there's more. Not as easy with this thing in front of me. 23, 26. As you can see, the drop chance is actually pretty randomized.
Insufficient cargo space.
There we go. And now all we need to do is fly all the way and sell this thing. But sell it where is the question. Well, helium sells in many places, but one of the more profitable places is on planet Mira in the Okinawa system. Now, the problem is, this place is actually very far away. Considering we only have, about 40 cargo space, it's not worth the trip. So that's 40 times 4.9 thousand, that's like 200,000 credits. Well, that's not a lot. That's not a lot, considering we pretty much made the same amount of credits by doing one mission. So, obviously, if I had a bigger ship than this, then yeah, sure. This would be actually very profitable. As for us, we can only sell this thing in the Pennsylvania system. Something you need to know, by the way, is that the prices for commodities are updated. This list is going to be updated when you land on a base. When you make a completely new character, you're actually not given a lot of in terms of map. There's really not much. And by the way, this is where Okinawa is. That's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 systems away. That is not worth the effort on this ship right now. So, instead, we're just going to sell it off on Planet Erie, right here. And boom! Value, value, value. Obviously, that was actually less than the mission itself, like, without selling the pilots. That was much less. But again, this is just for you to obtain some sort of starting funds, right? So, really, that's about it when it comes to mining. Mining in a larger ship. For example, this fellow right here. Oh, this guy actually has a pretty big transport. As you can see, he has 4.2 thousand cargo space. Well, for him, yeah, that would actually make quite a bit of, you know, money. But, considering we don't have a ship like that just yet, we are going to have to stick to something else. So, actually, you know, if I'm talking about the ship sizes and all, we might as well take a look at the weapons, ship dealer right here on Planet Erie. Right here, we actually have a ship called the Sunburst. And you can see the Sunburst actually has a reasonable amount of cargo space, but it's a freighter. So it's a slower ship than the light fighter that is the Stargazer. It has more guns and more turrets, sure, but again, it is quite a fair bit slower. And this ship in particular, yeah, it has a fair amount of size, you know, it has a lot of firepower, but at the same time, for its size, a base armor of 18.5 thousand is not really a big deal. It is cheap, though. So, with that in mind, we are going to do something interesting. We are going to make a new ship for our character. So, basically, your character can, in roleplay, have many ships, right? Obviously, we don't have a garage module like other games, and so your one character having multiple ships is basically just represented by having a similar name. So, the original name for this character was Dave Cypress. So, if we try to create a character like this, it's going to just say that the character name's already used. But, do you know what kind of name is not being used? Boop. With an extra dot, and that is going to be our mining character. This is going to be for missions, this is going to be for mining. But, we're going to make things a little bit more different. This is the point where I'm going to tell you that the restart command exists. Right, so what is the restart command? The point of a roleplay server is to roleplay with other players, and there's a lot of things that we did and we added to the game to make things easier. One of your current goals as a new player is to make a character, to make credits, to make your desired characters with. And yes, characters, plural. You're going to have a lot of ships with different characters. You're going to have a Liberty Navy officer. You're going to have a I don't know, a Red Hessian pirate. You can have a Corsair pilot. You can have a neutral trader that is a zoner, for example. All of that, or you can have a shady junker character. All of that is possible by making money and creating new characters and new ships and choosing different IDs. In order to make this easier, there is a so-called restart command, and the way you access it is by opening up the chat. It doesn't matter where you write it, slash show restarts, and it's going to give you these many restarts. Alright, so you will notice that there's a lot. Every single faction in the game has its own restart, basically. The one that we are going to take a look at is the Liberty Civilian, because I know for a fact that that particular restart comes with the Sunburst freighter. And once we enter this, the server is going to kick us so that it applies the changes to the character's file. We're going to wait about 5 seconds. That should be done. After that, we're going to reconnect to the server again, and you will notice that, no, never mind, it's actually a Stargazer. Well, never a fucking mind then. For some reason, it's a Stargazer. Actually, yeah, I mixed something up. It's Restart Beginner that is actually, that gets the freighter. There is a reason why it's called the Beginner Restart, and it is specifically as a crutch. So I'm going to quickly show you the exact changes that happen. So right now you can see, there it is. Now it's a Sunburst, and now it's in Pennsylvania. One of the biggest additions that making a restart character does is it actually gives you a better nav map. You have information of many of the vanilla bases. This is not even half of the existing systems in the Discovery mod. That you need to understand. It doesn't give you the full map, but it gives you a good enough map. So for the sake of example, let's quickly switch back to our mission character, and let's go to the commodities dealer, and let's just pick out a random commodity. For example, criminals. Prisoners at war are captured, blah blah blah. You will see that its best known price is actually on planet Erie in Pennsylvania, and we also know the sell prices for Nuremberg, Mura, and Gettysburg. These are just some of the other bases that are currently loaded in our character's nav computer. But you know, you can see, like, we see criminals on this base, but it just happens to be the base that actually sells the item for its best known price. But if we switch back to our restarted character, I'll just go back. You'll notice that, aha, there we go, a much better price. See, we can actually take these guys to the Texas system, which is just one jump away, by the way, actually 2, and sell it for a total profit of 1,000. Actually, let's do that. Again, we're gonna keep the Sir rules, and actually we don't have enough money to buy a full hold. We can only buy 26 of them, but it's okay. It's actually okay, because this ship is still capable of doing missions, and it actually has a, you know, reasonable amount of firepower, and so we can actually do missions with it. We don't actually have to keep that previous character, but, well, I wanted to show this off as a, you know, a feature. It's a feature. Alright, so let's quickly grab another mission. Alright, so we're going to shoot up a large space station and then kill all the rogues around it, which is really good because, again, we actually make more money by bringing back the pilots than the actual mission itself that's intended.
You'll find our uploaded data in your nav map. Look there for waypoint information and further instructions.
Now the funny thing is that this ship is actually has a much better forward firepower than the previous ship, you know, the starting ship. At the same time, this thing is quite a bit heavier and slower to turn. So, dodging around is a little bit, you know, less likely to happen. But at the same time, I actually think we still have the crappy shield because we didn't upgrade anything on this thing. This ship comes with 2 mining turrets. This is actually completely unneeded for helium because you mine helium so very quickly that you don't really see any difference between having or not having the mining arrays. One of our short-term goals, by the way, is going to be
You're getting close. You should be able to make out the installation soon if you can't already.
Yeah. Is going to be to create 2 very specific characters first. One is going to be a dedicated trading character, and the other one is going to be a dedicated mining character. Now, the mining character is going to be geared for mining ore, which sells for a lot more than helium does. You saw that the helium commodity, when mined, it sold for around 4,000 on planet Mira. Well, unrefined ore actually sells for up to 10,000, and that is very profitable. But it actually requires a specified ship for that. Anyway, we are just going to...
We read you as in range. Remember, we're painting everything you need to
these
take
are
out.
level
You're
9
not
characters.
taking the base.
Well, I think I just did. Ha. Yeah. This is hopefully be very easy. As you can see, the ship is a lot slower.
Track failure.
Moving to attack a target.
Actually, notice that our tractor beam is a different color.
Track failure.
I'm going to tell you the reason for that in just a moment.
Track
I just
failure.
lost one of my men.
Track
Damn straight you did.
failure.
You shouldn't have
Track
built your base here.
failure.
Screw you.
Tractor failure.
Oh, more NPCs. Goody! More money for us.
Failure.
And those are also level 9s. We're safe. So for a relatively harmless mission like this,
Failure.
a ship like this is, unless you ram the freaking things, is more than adequate. You're not going to suffer a lot of things. The only very good thing about this freighter, when it comes to, you know, direct comparison with a starting ship, is the fact that this thing actually has 3 times more nanobots and batteries, things that you use to fix your ship.
Track failure.
There we go.
Tractor failure.
Good job. They won't be rebuilding here anytime soon. Now get out of there before more hostiles arrive. Mission Commission signing off.
You don't need to tell me twice. Alright, so about the tractor beam. Oh, 10 pilots. Not bad. That's going to give us around roughly 500,000 credits. More than enough for, you know, for buying this thing. The criminal. Right, so we actually have a different ID. It's a miner ID. So independent miners are freelancing miners. So basically this is kind of a mining geared freelancer ID. I actually see more NPCs. I think we're just going to blow those up. Yep, there they are. It's like they're actually harassing this player here. Or is it the other way around? Well, whatever the case might or might not be, I'm just going to swoop right in and kill them. Because I want those pilots. There we go. Don't mind me, Alpha Metagamma. I'm just, you know, taking out the trash. I'm the trash man. That was my best impression. Yeah. So yeah, different IDs allow for different actions. Again, it looks like we cannot attack any ship in apart from in self-defense. We cannot use large transports, and we cannot participate in other unlawful actions apart from that. So, again, standard stuff. Hello, Battleship Gettysburg. I have some new friends for you. So, if we would actually care to take a more, a much more hard mission right now, it would be more easier to do on the small ship, because this thing is a big target. There we go. More than 500,000 credits. That is more than enough for what we are going to do right now. And now we are going to run some cargo. Cargo trading in Discovery Freelancer is very straightforward. You simply load up on things for cheap, and then you sell them for the biggest price that you actually know. So we saw that we're actually going to make 1,000 per unit profit on an item that is sold about 2 jumps away. Let's see what other things we have. Liberty Ale. The same profit, roughly 1,000 credits per unit net profit, roughly. 1,000 units, but this is sold in New London, which is a lot further away. You have Neon. Ooh, wow, this is a net profit of over 3,000 per unit, but at the same time, the best known price is actually in Sigma 59. That is a long way away. You know, the funny thing is, I don't even have it on my nav map just now. Kind of strange, actually. I should have it if I see the sell point. You have tourists, same thing. So yeah, it looks like for now, we're going to load up on criminals. Who almost all of our money just went into this. And we are on our way. We're gonna sell this to the prison station in Texas. Right, for the purpose of trading, the easiest way to do this is to plot trade routes and just click on the base. It's gonna just show you physically where the base is, and so just set the best path. Just follow the path. Very similar to Elite Dangerous, although much less annoying.
Dock. Objective reached.
Right, so let's talk about character creation in general right now, because obviously we are seeing a lot of gameplay, but not really a lot of roleplay. All of the player interaction, and the fun thing about Disco and roleplay interaction, that is really happening outside of the system right now, because, you know, this is mostly a newbie arena thing. As we're going to progress, our first short-term goals for a new player is going to be acquiring some sort of mode of income. You know, either a trader or a miner, or preferably both. And after that is done, then we can create as many characters in as many places as we want. The more the better. Stuff is happening everywhere. Like, we have small events, we have large events, we have people doing this and people doing that. There's players scattered all around, waiting to be interacted with words or with guns. That is completely up to you. But that is still the truth. Let's just jump into the New York system. Jesus Christ, I remember the first time that I saw this effect when I, you know, first played Freelancer. It just freaking blew my mind. More rogues. You can see that these are actually level 12. The further we're going to move away from Liberty in general. Liberty, again, the House of Liberty is at the very center, right? So the further away we're going to be moving out, the harsher things are going to become. And that includes missions as well. For now, we're just going to be following the waypoints until we hit the Texas system. If we open up our nav map, we can actually see where we need to go. So you can kind of plot your cruise as you fly.
Dock. Objective reached.
I think we can progress to our next, you know, part of the series when we get a better ship than this. So, in other words, I'm gonna cut this video once we reach our destination, you know, just to show how this sort of, you know, how trading works. And I'm going to continue either grinding missions or doing the run until I get enough money for the next better transport ship. And once that happens, we're going to continue with part 3. Going to branch out a little.
Objective reached. Cancelled. Dock. Objective reached.
Now, obviously, trading and mining or any kind of profit making is not really all that safe. You're not going to get too bored. There are IDs, character IDs, in the game that allow demanding the cargo or money off of other players. Mostly, this is akin to criminal IDs. Now, this roleplay allows the character to, if you decline, you just decline their demand, they can kill you and just take your cargo. The thing is, if you die, due to the server rules, you may not enter that system again for a couple of hours. So, you know, there are times where you should pay a pirate, and there are times that you probably might want to try and escape on your own, if you know that the risk is calculated enough. Texas system scrap field to our right. There's actually a junker base somewhere there. We might want to go and see what kind of stuff they offer. It's an unknown player base. We don't really care about. Alright, so we can see our destinations over there. That's the LPI Sugarland. But it's 34 clicks away, so I'm just going to use this trade lane to get a little bit closer to that place. And we are going to use the either the escape or the free flight key to jump out of this trade lane as soon as we're close enough. There we go. And now we can just cruise up the other 5k. At least it's not 30k. I don't know why, but the autopilot really wanted me to cruise all the way from there to here.
This is Liberty Police, Epsilon.
Kind of silly, but okay.
We've received your I'm from
Some poor Liberty Rogue getting shot by literally everything.
I am taking on Freelancer.
So one of the things about trading in Discovery Freelancer that you need to quickly remember is that we removed the ABA trade routes. We need to elaborate just in a moment. Let's see. Criminals. We get a full... Boom. There we go. 1 million credits earned. We actually spent half of that. So this is basically like doing a mission, just, you know, without the risk of getting blown up by NPCs. You'll also notice that there's nothing really we can take from here. We can take toxic waste for around 1k profit, but the problem is, well, yeah, a little bit over 1k profit, but the problem is, again, distance. Distance is always the key. So, as I was saying, ABA trade routes. So, what I mean with that is that in the vanilla Freelancer game, you would have trade routes, for example, from Planet Manhattan to Planet New London, and then from Planet to New London to Planet Manhattan. You know, it was just a loop. Things in Discovery Freelancer are a little bit different. We use some sort of algorithm, basically, that makes these prices in a way that completely removes loop routes. Which is a really good thing, because it encourages you to kind of explore a little bit. Oh, what are you? Oh, this fellow right here has neobium. He is taking it back to Rhineland, probably. Because I know for a fact that Rhineland actually pays very well for niobium. Well, let's take a look here. Homesteaders. Nanocapacitors. Again, very nice profit. Very nice profit if we had a bigger ship. So what about Pennsylvania, though? Philadelphia, Bethlehem, Harrisburg. There's yeah, that's probably it. So yeah, we can actually just take this back to Pennsylvania. The profit per unit is much less, but at the same time, if you are transport, the best thing to do is never to fly around with an empty cargo hold.
Dock.
It's another player, of whom I don't really care just now. I'm more inclined to make a profit. So yeah, in the next episode I'm going to be talking a little bit more about roleplay in general and how to flesh out your character, because right now our character is just a name. It's just Dave Cypress. We don't know anything about else about this character. We haven't put in any thought about the character's history up until now, about how they ended up, you know, flying around on Liberty. And that's all part of the course. That's sort of the, you know, that's the bread and butter of a roleplay server and your interaction with other characters, which some of which have a history of many, many years, actually. There's a lot of players playing who have very old characters. And the fun thing about Disco, as a community in general, it's the perfect size of community. It is small enough that you... Basically, it's large enough that you will never you'll never run out of people to meet, right? You cannot really know everyone in the community. There's always someone new to meet, there's new friends to meet, but at the same time, it's actually small enough that you as an individual, if you want, you can stand out pretty easily. Like, there are many players who just stand out, well, for better or for worse. But you know, that is the name of the game, right? Oh, this fellow was on my scanner for a moment. I'm actually afraid that this thing doesn't have the good scanner, does it? No, it doesn't. Well, that's another ship we'll need to upgrade in the future. Trading during the server low times, you know, 46 players, it's basically very empty right now. 46 players over all of this makes encounters very rare, which is really good if you're just trying to make money. A very little chance of, you know, running into someone that you probably don't want to. Some mean people are gonna be mean. And yeah, of course, we're gonna make a pirate character as well during the Let's Play.
Dock.
It's gonna be fun.
West Point Academy to Light Fighter Patrol. Transmit your ID code and designation.
Notice that this time I didn't even bother to set the
Dock.
route. Again, the really cool thing about Freelancer as opposed to other games is that you know, the scenery is not changing in any way, so you can actually remember where everything is. Compared to games such as Rebel Galaxy, I mean, sure, over time you kind of learn the lay of the land, so to speak,
Dock.
but Freelancer is so colorful, it's strewn with so many things that you remember where everything is based upon where everything else is. It's very easy to orientate yourself around, and that's something that I always liked. And at the same time, like, the game is very old. It's very old, but it looks good. Looks damn good, actually. You know, all things considered. And the best thing is that even with this, you know, all things considered good-lookingness, at the same time, you know, the game runs on pretty much anything. I think the minimum requested, you know, the minimum specs for Freelancer was, like, what, 800 megahertz? Processor? Something along those lines, sure. Let's actually quickly check where do we want these. Let's sort by system, and we're just going to go back to Pennsylvania. Hey, yeah, we can just... Actually, no, Harrisburg. Yeah, there we go.
Dock.
Just going to set this down here, and this is where we're going to end our part 2 for now. In part 3, by the time part 3 hits, I will have already traded up to the next transport. I need about 5 million crits for that. We already made... Let's just see how many we... I'll probably do missions in order to do that. I like trading. It's very relaxing, especially if I have a podcast that I want to listen to. But, yeah, I kind of prefer missions. So yeah, thanks for joining everyone, and I will see you in part 3 of our little Let's Play, and I'm going to be talking about character development. We're going to be flying a bigger ship. We're going to branch out a little bit, you know, otherwise you might as well... You know, Pennsylvania is nice, but I want to fly further away. And we are going to look into some other IDs for our character. But, yeah, until part 3. Anyway, this was Panzy Dragon aka Syndromes, and see you next time.